Hi friends, it's Queen Alita, and I'm back today with a prophetic message from the Lord based on a dream that I had this morning. Just want to welcome you back to the channel. And if you are new, welcome. Just a quick disclaimer. It's very important to understand that not every prophetic message is meant for you. So you've got to be able to take it to the Lord and ask Him to speak to you and confirm if it is for you or not. It's important that you are able to have those conversations with the Lord, that you can hear His voice too, and that you're not relying on everybody else. He wants to connect with you all the time. So, make yourself available for that. And I know that for some of you, this word will definitely be confirming in terms of what He's been saying to you. So also, same message. If you have any questions or you want to understand more, take it to Him. He will surely give you the answers that you seek. So, like I said, I had the dream this morning. I think today is December 30th. And in the dream, I was in a taxi, South African style taxi. Basically, that is is it a minivan? It's like a 15-seater. And I remember getting into the taxi, and there were other people in there as well. Of course, because that's how it works. And then I just remember not being able to pay immediately, which is also how it works in waking life. When you get into the taxi, you pay. So I wasn't able to pay because I didn't have cash on me and I needed to withdraw money somehow. So I'd said to the taxi driver that I would, give him his money, and he said, okay. Then we got to the destination and I was about to get off, and he said, my money. And I was like, yeah, I don't have it on me, but I'm going to go do what I need to do and I'll come back and pay. And I realized that maybe he needs to go somewhere and he can't wait for me. So immediately I noticed that there was an ATM right across from where we were. And someone else also pointed it out to me, and I said, okay, well, let me quickly go and withdraw the money. So I went to withdraw the money, and I knew that it was a very small amount that I owed him, which was going to be in coins. And I thought to myself, well, the ATM's only going to give me notes, but I'm sure he has change. And so as I was doing that, the dream immediately shifted to a couple who were getting married. They were just coming together at the altar, standing face to face, holding hands. And it was their wedding ceremony, their marriage ceremony. And that was pretty much the dream. So immediately as I was sleeping and, in and out of sleep, in that kind of alpha state, the Lord was, by alpha, I mean alpha brainwaves. The Lord was ministering to me about that dream and the word. And He immediately told me, this is, the word for today. And basically He was showing me that, there's some of you who the Lord wants you to settle some things. You've been able to do certain things to get to the destination where He wants you to be. But you need to tie up some loose ends. You need to settle the things that need settling. Don't leave anything hanging. In that dream, I couldn't leave the taxi driver hanging so I could do what I wanted and then come back later and pay. I had to do it there and then. And I knew it in my spirit. The taxi driver wasn't fighting with me. He didn't have to insist. I just knew that was what I needed to do. And the ATM was available, which represents the Lord making it easy for you to be able to settle things now. You've got to settle what you need to settle. Tie up the loose ends that He's showing you to tie up. Don't leave anything hanging, because where He's sending you, you are literally going into some kind of partnership. And I know that He was showing me marriages. And the other thing that He was saying with regards to that is that He's sending people out in twos, in pairs. And obviously one of those ways is through marriage. So He needs for you to be able to tie up those loose ends, settle matters, because you need to transition into this next phase. You need to be ready for where God is taking you with your partner, with your spouse. This is well, let me not say this is the time, because the Lord is going to give you the timing for when that will happen. And right now, your focus, if this word is for you, is to settle the things that he's showing you to settle. It's like he's taken you down a certain path to a particular destination. He's moved you from one place to another, and it's time to make sure that you have nothing holding you back, nothing that you still owe, nothing that you still need to deal with. So you've got to make sure that things are settled before you can move on to the next. As soon as I withdrew that money from the ATM, the dream shifted to that couple, and the Lord was showing me how there's going to be a time which was very similar to the disciples, where he sent them out in pairs. I think it's in Matthew 10 and in Luke chapter 10. So I'm not going to read those chapters. The Lord put it on my heart for you to go and read them for yourselves. In Matthew 10, he sends out the 12. He sends them out in pairs. And then in Luke chapter 10, he sends out an additional 72, and he sends them out in pairs as well. And I know that some of it, let me put it this way. There are specific instructions that he gives them. And I believe this is tied into the settling of matters, not having things that you're tied to, because there's a mission ahead of you. You can't take certain things. You can't have burdens. You can't have things hanging over your head. You got to trust where God is taking you. You can't make provision for yourself. God is going to make that provision. Just make sure that there's nothing holding you back and tying you back to things that are happening now. And know that it's not going to be perfect or easy on this journey, because as you read those chapters, you'll see what Jesus says to them, how he prepares them for the difficulties that they'll face, and also, just also preparing them for the harvest. Like, the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. And this is where we're at now, folks. Like, there is so much that needs to be done. There's so much work that needs to be done. The harvest is ready, but the workers are few, and we need to be positioned. We need to settle things and get into position and allow God to do what he's doing. I had put out a word, I think it was the last video that I did, talking about, being in a time of refreshing and rejuvenation. And I do believe that this time of refreshing and rejuvenation is so important, because you cannot go into this next thing weary and just low energy, spiritually just drained. You cannot, because this is a whole other level. You're going in pairs. A lot of you, again, it's going to be through marriage. Some of you, it's a different setup. But God is sending you out there. The work needs to be done. And that's why we need this time of rejuvenation, because we need to be on top of things. The enemy has been he's accelerated his agenda in the world. And we need to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. We need to be concerned about our Father's business, and, less concerned about our own personal matters. And just seeking God for his will, because when we seek him for his will, it becomes less about what we want and, God, you promised me this and you promised me that. God is going to bring to pass what he said he promised. But when I think of the life of Jesus and how he was just about his Father's business, he actually, to me, he came across as though he wasn't concerned about a lot of the stuff that we concern ourselves with. He was a very simple man, and he just wanted to do what his Father called him to do. He already understood his purpose. He already even understood when he would die. How many of us can actually say that we fully understand our purpose, and we fully understand, what the span of our life will be and when our mission will be complete? I don't think any of us wants to think about that. But when I look at the life of Jesus, I'm like, he knew when he was going to die. He knew when the span of his life would be complete. And, for him, the reward was to, go and be with his Father in heaven, and to inherit the kingdom, and just save lives and all of that. Everything that all the blessings that God had promised him, he received. And because he fully understand his purpose, and he fully understood his purpose, and he wasn't trying to follow his own desires or getting caught up in the worldly things. I hope I'm explaining this well. We just need to be about our Father's business right now. It's a time for refreshing, rejuvenation, and settling things. You got to settle the things that need to be settled, tie up the loose ends, because next up is going to be a whole different it's a whole different ball game. It's about the work, the mission that God has put on your life. It's about fulfilling your purpose. And take this time to get clarity on what that is. Some of you may have an idea. Some of you may know exactly what it is. A lot of us, I don't think, really know the fullness of the purpose for which we were created. This is the time to get close to the Father. This is the time for deep intimacy, for Him to give you your instructions and to propel you into your future, which, yes, is filled with everything that He has shown you He will do, and of course His will being the main thing. So that's the word for today. I really pray that it's blessed everybody that it's meant for. And again, the scriptures for you to read are Matthew chapter 10 and Luke chapter 10. And I will see you in the next video. Always remember that God is a good Father. He loves you so much because you, my friends, are so deeply special to Him.